So I want you to completely scratch what you think you know about fibromyalgia. There are so many different opinions about what it is, and I've learnt that even people with fibromyalgia have very different opinions about their symptoms. I don't really get how we've got to this point. I mean, one person told me that theirs flared up when they ate chocolate. Someone told me that theirs was made worse by the weather. I mean, really early on when I was first diagnosed, someone implied to me it was all in my head. I didn't just wake up one day and ask for this to happen to me. I didn't ask to be in pain all over my body. It's not how it works. But yeah, there's just so much misinformation online and so many confusing and conflicting ideas I found anyway when I was diagnosed. I spent all this time researching it. And the reason I did that was because when I went to the doctors, when they sort of figured out my symptoms were related to fibromyalgia, they were very much like, okay, we understand you have these symptoms, we understand they're debilitating, but that's it, off you go. That's all we know. There was no sort of support there was no sort of reassurance or guidance about what to expect and what it was and why this was happening to me. And looking back, it's probably because they didn't know themselves. I mean, the first thing I did was I just started researching it, and that's when I figured out there was just masses and masses of confusing information about fibromyalgia. And yeah, so it was a lot for me. It was a scary time for me. I felt very lonely. I felt like my entire life was ahead of me, and then it had all been taken away. My symptoms started when I was just 24. I had the severest kind where I was bedridden, so I was pretty much horizontal for 99% of the day, apart from when I would sit up to eat. That was also in bed as well, so I would eat from bed. So I would sit up to eat, and that in itself was exhausting for me, and it was tiring and painful. And then I would just sort of slither back down into my bed. Yeah, it was terrible. It's an absolutely brutal condition, and honestly, I just feel like it's made so much worse for the people who are diagnosed with it because of how widely misunderstood it is. This is why it's so important for me to make these videos, because I want to get my story out there and I want to change the way we even look at fibromyalgia. Just the information we have, I believe, is so wrong and so outdated, and it scares me to think that people are living their life based on this misinformation. I mean, if you're told, okay, here's a condition, it's chronic, you'll never get better from it, and this is what you can expect day to day. I mean, that assumption in itself, you never know what's going to happen to somebody. You never know, like, how people are going to respond. You never know how people are going to respond to their condition, and it's just awful to kind of put those ideas into people's minds so early on. So yeah, I want to share my story. I want to tell as many people as we possibly can about sort of my journey, what I've learned. And yes, everything is based on my own personal experience, my own research, my own findings. I do quote work and research of other people, and I have permission to sort of share that information with you as well. So I will be doing that in my future videos. I think in my next video, I want to focus on the symptoms of it. So I'm going to talk to you about the general symptoms of it, and my own, the like sort of personal symptoms to me, like what I experienced from it as well. So yeah, I think for me, this video was just to ask you to completely wipe out everything you know currently and just start afresh. Let's just unlearn and relearn, because what I've discovered is life-changing. I mean, because of what I did, I got my life back, and I believe that other people can improve their lives too, and or at least get their lives back. I mean, we're talking about people who are teachers, nurses, parents, who are potentially in a wheelchair or in bed or dependent on round-the-clock help like I was. And if we just give them the right information and the right support, who knows what could happen? They could get their lives back, they could start living again. These are people who could be in their 20s, like me. These are people could be in their 30s, 40s, 50s, it doesn't matter. In my next video, I'll be talking about what fibromyalgia feels like, the symptoms of it, my own personal experience of what it was like for me day to day, and especially at my worst as well. If you yourself know anybody as well who have fibromyalgia, or even if they have chronic pain or chronic fatigue, I would love for you to share my videos or send on my videos to them. That would be absolutely amazing. If you follow me, then more people will see these videos and we can help more people who have fibromyalgia or who have chronic pain and fatigue.